So Nintendo Direct has just dropped, giving us loads of information about the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's fair to say it has caused some major controversy in the world of gaming, to the point of which it could actually shape the future of the gaming industry going forward. Now the major talking point that has got everybody up in arms at the moment is to do with the pricing of games and the console itself. So it's looking as if for the Nintendo Switch 2, certain titles are going to be $80 to $90 brand new. Now that is astronomical when you compare it to games that we've got nowadays. Don't get me wrong, it's obviously no secret that the prices of video games has exponentially increased as we have gotten more up-to-date games, right? As time progresses, things get more expensive. But taking it to this stage almost feels like a bit of a statement of intent from Nintendo. And I think one of the major scares with it being Nintendo that have done this is the fact that they are very much not known for reducing the price of their games over time. Everything still remains at its initial retail selling price. So realistically, if you want to get Mario Kart World in like 5 years time, you're probably still going to pay about $80 to get it. I think a major concern what people have, myself included, is the precedent that this sets for the gaming industry moving forward. Now one of the major things that people have been worrying about is with this being the release of GTA 6 this year, that this is going to be a $100 game. There is now no doubt in my mind that this will be a $100 game because of the actions Nintendo have taken with their pricing. And when you look at other companies that are really big on microtransactions like Activision and EA, you can't tell me that the next FIFA isn't going to be $100 too. Like, it just will be. Any of these AAA titles that release on the major consoles are now going to be at this price point. I think one of the major issues I personally have with this pricing is the fact that it is actually Nintendo as well that have done it, which I know might sound silly, but to me, Nintendo make the same 6 games virtually every 10 years and just have them on a loop constantly. So what, you get a Mario Kart, you get a Zelda, you get a Super Mario Bros, you get some form of Pokemon, you get some form of Smash Bros, and you get like an Animal Crossing. Like, it's all the same shit. I know they get like different features and visual upgrades, and they are definitely better games each time, but do they warrant this price point? Like, to me, when you think about something like a GTA 6, I'm hoping it's not $100, but quite frankly, if it was, I don't blame them, because over the course of the lifespan of GTA 5, I think I've probably bought the thing about 3 times on 3 different consoles, but I've also gotten probably 50 to 60 days worth of game time out of it. So if I'm going to get that again from a game that I can realistically do pretty much anything in, it's not like a Mario Kart where I can just drive around a track. Like, in GTA you can virtually do whatever the hell you want. I think that almost makes more sense it costing that price point. And speaking of the other actual exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 games we saw, I'll be honest, there wasn't much that really took my fancy. Now, I might not have seen all of them, but from what I can recall, we had the new Mario Kart, which does look very cool, admittedly, but then there was a Donkey Kong, which looked absolutely fine. Maybe Seth Rogen will voice him, that'd be funny. Doubt it, however. And the only other one I saw was like a wheelchair version of Rocket League, which looked kind of cool, and it actually looked cool that they were using the Switch's new mouse ability, like they were actually using the features for the point of the console, which there isn't a lot of games that I saw that were really doing that. Like with the new Mario Kart, for example, it's great and you can play it on the new console and it'll look really good, but it's just going to play how the old one did. All of these new console features that have come with the Switch 2, you aren't really going to be able to use with it. Now, despite all the slagging off of pricing that Nintendo have got, and don't get me wrong, it is rightfully so, one thing which I do think they have got right regarding the games is the Switch 2 updates. Now, from as I understand it, there'll be visual upgrades for a lot of the Nintendo Switch games available, and from the looks of the price points, these are going to cost from around £8 to £15 each, so about $10 or $20, which I personally think is pretty respectable, especially when you've got games like Mario Party Jamboree, where you're actually going to have additional content added to the game. I mean, if you look at that in just a regular video game stance, it's essentially just paying for a DLC, which are normally more than £8 in the UK, to be fair, so I'm not really going to complain at that. I understand that it's a bit subjective because the paid upgrade might be more worth it or less worth it depending on A, what you actually get, and B, the actual cost of it, but as a general rule of thumb and from how I've read about it and how it's been described, I think that this actually sounds really good. Not to mention all the games from the Nintendo Switch are available backwards compatibly on the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, thank God this is the case. If there hadn't been, it'd have been an absolute fucking outroar. But either way, that is good to see. However, moving away from the very small amount of positives from Nintendo Direct, we do need to talk about the price point of the console. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 is coming in at $450, which is significantly higher than the Switch, and honestly is starting to rival the prices of Xbox Series X's and PS5s. However, the difference is, I know they're the big three competitors in the gaming market, but this is a handheld fucking console, right? It has not got the specs anywhere near the likes of the actual, what I call proper consoles. I know they're not, but you know what I mean. The ones that are purely designed to be stationary, at-home consoles. And despite this massive variance in price, to me, I personally don't see that many major differences between the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2. Don't get me wrong, the Switch 2 has obviously got a big screen, it looks better, it runs better, it supports like HDR, things like that. The Joy-Cons are now magnetic as opposed to actually like clipping in, which honestly, I just think that's a negative. I think they're going to break more, to be honest, because as soon as a magnet goes, you're fucked. And the Switch 2 obviously has got way more storage. However, something that obviously they don't tell you and will obviously be the case, the newer games are going to be way larger to install, so it's going to kind of be a bit swings and roundabouts. See, like you can share, you'll probably end up installing more games than what you can on the Nintendo Switch, don't get me wrong, but the games are going to be 3-4 times the size of it. And in terms of actual new features, I know we mentioned it earlier, but you can obviously use the Joy-Cons as a mouse. I do think that looks really cool. And the buttons and the actual analog sticks on the Switch are larger, which is beneficial, but that is about it. I mean, there's a stand on there as well, which looks better, don't get me wrong, and there is game chat as a feature. I do like that, but is that worth double the price of the previous one? I don't know. Also, you can buy a face cam attachment for like 50 quid if you really want to. I don't know why you would, but there you go. Anyway, what did you guys think of Nintendo Direct? Are you excited about the Switch 2? Are you also pissed off about the ridiculous price of games? Because I know I am. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you are new here and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, as it really does support the channel. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in another video sometime soon.